Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. So with that in mind, let's jump right in to this week's episode of Becoming Something.
What's up, podcast world? It's your boy JP in the podcast studio with Kathy Davidson.
What's up?
Kathy Davidson.
Kathy Davidson.
Kathy Davidson.
Kathy Davidson.
And Nate Hilgenkamp.
What's up, fam?
And Jonathan Pokluda.
This is how we do it.
Let's go.
Hey, I
It's
heard you identify as something.
night.
What?
Huh?
This morning you said you identify as something.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
I heard you didn't remember the residents' names.
Oh my God.
This guy does not
That
even
is
know his
awful.
coworkers' names.
They've given
We
up
have
these
a
years of their
relatively
lives.
we have a
They've
relatively
developed
small
by you.
staff.
You've made our church grow too
And
much.
he doesn't know
I was used to-
people on staff who he's been on staff with. How long? How long, Coley, have they been here? Almost a year. Almost a year they've been here, and you didn't know their
Nate,
names.
I want to know how many people on staff have you not saved their phone numbers into your phone? Do you know that he does this
Here.
too, JP?
He doesn't say people's names.
He does not say
Numbers.
people's names and
Okay,
numbers.
let's just go through our staff real quick.
Okay, so there's Corey.
Coley, who's in here.
Do you even know who's in the podcast
responded.
with you?
Somebody responded with his name, Corey, and he's still pretty upset about it.
So mad.
He's probably going to edit this part out, honestly.
Rebecca, the graphics person. And
Come on, man. You were wild.
I was used to like 10 people on staff. Then you're like, hey,
Whatever.
let's grow.
If
I
it's
was
too
used to-
big for you,
I
you can
didn't-
always roll off.
I don't know how to
You don't
love
have
all
to
these
work here.
people. I don't know how to love all these people.
Yeah, God really says to limit that. He doesn't say love everyone. He's like, just as many as you want to. Do you think it's important to know someone's name if you're going to love them?
if they're useful? Like,
What is going on with your style lately, too?
I don't
a
know.
lot
I'm
of
trying
questions.
to identify as confused, I think.
He identifies as confused.
Where'd you
You did
get
an
your
awesome
shirt?
job.
Yeah. Where'd I get it?
Yeah.
I got it for free
Okay.
from our friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
This is off to a
So-
great start.
Hey, I need like a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
You need a little bit of money?
Yeah, Adley
Like
doesn't
you want a
know.
loan? I got
Adley
you.
doesn't know, but it would help.
Why do you need money?
Because I thought Baylor was going to win the national championship this year,
Oh, my goodness.
and they didn't,
They did not come close.
and so I'm out just a little bit.
Have you ever bet? Do you bet on sports games?
Well, I can't. It's not legal in Texas. But have I? Yes.
You can't online?
Well, you can if it. I don't understand. I've never done this, but apparently you can get a. I don't really understand, but you can do it offshore. Like I
What's
could do it on my
offshore?
phone right now. I would have to say that I'm in the Caribbean or something.
No, I don't think that's true.
I don't. Corey, do you know better? People, you can, but it's not legal
Can
apparently in
y'all
Texas.
explain to me what you were talking about? Because
Sports
I don't
gambling?
understand what sports betting is.
So, like, if you bet on a game, so you bet if you can bet. So, if two teams are playing,
Yes.
you can
Dallas
bet.
Cowboys are playing the New York Giants.
So you can bet all right, I bet Baylor's going to win. But if Baylor's favored by 16 points, so if like Baylor's supposed to win by 16 points, then of course Baylor's probably going to win, right?
Yeah.
So then there's what's called a spread, where Baylor, it's like the other team basically starts with 16 points. And so if you bet on Baylor, Baylor would have to win by 16 points. Does that make sense? Or 17 points in that case.
It's making a lot of sense.
Does it not make
Does
sense?
it not make sense?
I don't
So-
get spread. I don't get
So,
Okay,
so
so
it's
let-
like, yeah,
No,
you
go ahead, you got it.
you're doing great.
No,
I'm
you got it.
tracking.
You got it.
So if the spread is 16 points, Baylor would have to win by more than 16 points. So like there's videos of sports games and it's like a meaningless layup at the end of the game and to push it from 17 to 15 points. And
So,
people,
like,
people in the
people-
crowd will be like, "Oh
So
no."
people determine the spread, and they're like amazing at it. Like they say Baylor's going to win by 16 points, and they win by 16 points. It's unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah.
And they just like come up with that based on
Vegas
what
is
they know about
crazy.
each
Algorithms
team.
and
AI,
craziness.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
So then they say they're going to win by this. And then people will purposefully make layups at the end to mess up.
Well,
the
not
spread?
purposely, but
No. They're just playing the
They're just
game.
playing the game.
yeah, but the game's over.
But they're so
essentially.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so good at like determining the spread that often it like comes down to 1 or 2 points around the spread.
So you are making money because you're saying this team's going to win by this amount, and then other people are saying no, they're not.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
so it's
And
just
then-
like think about it like this. So let's say Baylor. Where'd you go to high school?
Pascal High School.
Okay.
Shout out. Fort
Let's
Worth,
say
Texas.
Baylor's going to play Pascal High School's JV team.
Yeah. They
Okay.
For sure, crush them.
Who are you going to bet on?
For sure, Baylor.
Okay. Now what if Pascal's high school's team, we're going to give them 42 points?
That they would.
That they're starting like, so when it says 0-0, it's actually 0 to 42.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Does that make sense?
That took
so
a
they're
second.
starting with 42 points. So
To
if
help
they
it out. Okay.
if they score 2 points the entire game, they made 44 points.
Okay.
Okay. That's
Wow, I got it.
Okay. Yeah, but I just tried to really bring
Dumb it
that
down
down.
for me,
Bring
yeah.
that down on the bottom
I'm
shelf.
just thinking there's got to be other listeners out there that don't know about this.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
just-
That's
I'm
the-
just speaking for the
But
people.
so
here.
then,
Yeah.
to complicate things,
Yes.
you can bet who's going to win the coin toss. You can bet
No
how long
way.
the
How long the
game's going to
national
go,
anthem is.
what the total
No.
points.
Yeah.
So like if the total, if the total points are like 53 to 62, you can bet, hey, that number. You can bet just about anything. You can bet how long the national anthem is. Did you say
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That
It's
is
crazy.
shocking.
Yeah.
And people do this?
Yeah.
Totally.
Like people do it for a living.
And you said you've bet on sports before?
Uh-huh.
How and when and where and why?
Well, when I was in a different
Before he
Before
was a Christian.
Jesus.
yeah.
BC
that's
days.
Right. Yeah, that's right. When I was in a different state.
But like people have. I mean, when I was in college.
Did you win?
I actually did.
When I was in college, like friends had a bookie here locally in Waco.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And what's a bookie do?
They take the bets. Like they
Their job is to
no, they're like you're betting them.
oh.
Like you're saying, hey, I want to put $200 on Baylor, and so they take the other side, but then they also take like a percentage. So you can imagine if somebody goes, hey, I want to put $1 million on Baylor, they're like, oh goodness, man, wow, you can sink the ship, if you will.
Wow.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
So now I know. And people do this for fun?
Well, and I will say,
Yes, what will you say?
I do gamble every single week during the NFL season.
What?
Yeah.
How so?
So I have a group text. I don't even know if I can out them, but it's a bunch of other pastors in Waco, and I don't even know if I want to name the group text.
I know who it is.
Okay.
We bet $1 a week, and we pick the spread on every single NFL game, and whoever gets the most right.
So if we were
wins
going to
that.
do an episode on gambling, and it was like, hey, you can't do that, right? Then that's really what we're talking about today. Is like, hey, can you bet? When is gambling wrong?
Yeah,
Is it
Nate
wrong?
sitting
How
in a
does that?
pool?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
how does that work?
for sure.
You know.
Yeah, and it's taking over. I mean, it's becoming legalized a lot of places, and I don't know if females are into
Okay, I
it
have
as
a
much.
question.
Yeah, this is
Why-
gonna be a hot topic for the ladies.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Let me rope you in real quick.
Yeah, rope us in.
Because if you don't gamble, but you desire marriage, okay.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, this is rampant amongst men.
Yeah.
Almost, I mean, like video games, like anything else. And so you're going to want to understand,
Yes. There we go.
as you're looking for those red flags,
That's good.
does homeboy have a gambling
A
addiction?
problem. So my question is, why is it legal in some states and why is it not legal?
I think it's because of the
Yeah. Local government. It can be an Indian reservation, a Native American reservation.
yeah.
It can be like in Las Vegas.
And it used to not be legal everywhere. I mean, I think because of you could get some player you could pay some player on the team. Hey, here's $1,000, play poorly. And,
in the ocean, like on
cruises.
cruises, you can gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that in some places it's illegal means that at some point people recognize it's not good for you to gamble, right? Just trying to
I
take a
guess.
conversation.
Yeah. No, I mean it is. I mean, typically, have you been to Vegas? There's typically a large homeless population, a lot of poverty, because people give their lives to it. The problem with gambling is one of many problems.
Yeah.
Is it's very addictive.
Yeah.
And so let's just dumb this down. Like if you're addicted to gambling, you're in sin. Plain and simple, simple as can be. Hey, that's easy.
Why
and,
is that a
and so
sin?
if you're not addicted to gambling, stop and make sure, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're like, hey, I'm not addicted, but I'm going to, okay, you're addicted. Like, let's just be
'Cause
honest.
any addiction is
1
sin.
Corinthians 6, 1 Corinthians 10, I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. Like, I will not be enslaved to anything. And so when we have to do something, when we have an obsession other than God, like, we're in sin. Like, that's plain and simple. But then you have a stewardship issue. Every dollar that you have belongs to God. And the problem is you've got this 22-year-old college student thinking they're going to be smarter than this person with supercomputers and algorithms who's for the past 72 years been running the numbers, and they're like, oh, but I got the upper hand, I can curve the system. And there's a reason when you go to Vegas that the casinos are so grand and amazing, and they have great swimming pools and beautiful hotel rooms, and they're tall and cost hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, because the house is making money and they're taking that money from someone. And so there's gambling like lottery where you pick 6 numbers that has no skill, that is pure chance.
Yeah.
And then there's gambling like let's say craps, which there may be a skill, or blackjack, there may be a skill involved, but the house still has the edge. And then there's gambling like sports betting, which is a combination of a little bit of skill and a lot of chance. And people give their lives to it. I mean, in being in vocational ministry now for over a decade, I mean, I know people who've lost everything because they lost. And when I say everything, I mean their spouse, their children, everything, because they were enslaved to betting. And here's where I think the real issue is. Because I think there's a lot of people leaning in right now say, wait, so is it sin? Is it wrong? Is it wrong for me? I think it's a symptom of something. I've never met someone running really hard after Jesus who also gambled every week. And so I'm like, you know what? At the end of all of this, I just don't is Jesus your greatest obsession? Like, are you really following Jesus? Are you sharing the gospel everywhere you go? Are you living on mission? Are you giving away so much of your resources? Like, I mean, if you have money to gamble with weekly, like, can you increase your tithe?
Yeah.
Like, can you increase your giving? Because it's like, instead of, I mean, there's children starving today. There's 20,000 children that don't have enough. They're going to die today before the sun sets because they don't have enough water to drink. There's children in the foster system that don't have homes. They're sitting in orphanages because, or they're sitting in here in the U.S. in the foster care system because because of the family they were born to. It's like, can you redeploy that money and do something good with it? Now, let me just tell you the other side of it, lest you call me a legalist. Like, if you are like, hey, I want to have poker night with the boys, or poker night with the girls, or play mahjong for, $5 entry fee.
Real word?
You do that every now and then. Like great. Like, if that's like first Tuesday of the month, something that I look forward to, I risk $11. And it's amazing fellowship, and I call that $11 instead of spending it on a movie.
Yeah,
I spend it there. Like that. Okay, great. That's your entertainment. That's fun. That's your fellowship. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not like here like, oh no, you can't do that. Listen, I've been to Vegas, and when I've been to Vegas many times. I've been to Vegas before I was a Christian, and I've been to Vegas after I was a Christian. And both times I've played table games. Like, I played blackjack both times, so I can go into that casino
Kathy's
and
about to walk out.
I'm just
no. So I can think like, all right, we're going to be here, this many days. As a part of our entertainment here, I'm going to say I've got $150.
Yeah.
That this is kind of our entertainment, and if we sit down and we lose it, it's gone. If we double it or whatever, we're going to take it, redeploy, do something good with it. I feel good about that. There's people who are listening right now that will probably never listen again. They're like, I am out on anything he says because I strongly disagree with that. It's like drinking. They're like, hey, I don't think you can drink and be a Christian. Well, that feels like a 1 Corinthians 8, Romans 14. Hey, if you can't eat meat sacrificed to idols, like I don't believe doing it that way once a year is a sin.
Yeah.
But I think the challenge is the stewardship. It is the addiction. So,
do you understand Kathy? Do you understand the desire to do that, like to go play blackjack or to gamble on sports?
I get that like playing a game and having a consequence is like fun. Like our staff, whenever I was on staff, we do like a thing for March Madness.
Yeah.
And like if you lose, you have to do something silly. I think that's fun. I think it's fun if there's like a game with a consequence or like a prize if you win. I think I don't have any interest in putting my money into something that I could potentially lose it.
Yeah.
Like I have been to Vegas one time and
I feel like you could get super into it though.
I don't know. I've just never tried.
Monica does.
I'm sure I could.
I'm like
No,
I
no,
got
I
into
think
my
playing
bracket.
playing board
you'd
games
be-
with you.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow,
annoying.
no, she
I'm
I think-
super competitive.
I think you'd be so into it. So, but it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah. So it's like if we played, like, what's your favorite board game?
Secret Hitler. Yeah.
Okay, so if we played Secret Hitler,
Yeah.
right, and everybody puts in $5.
Oh my gosh.
And the winning team splits it.
Oh,
you know?
I
That's-
couldn't handle that because
Right.
I'm already
Yeah, that's stressful but fun.
So then you would like actually like,
Okay.
Holy
oh, yeah,
cow.
we win.
Yeah.
So what's the symptom? It's like, man, every other night I'm gambling on the NBA, and then college football, basketball, I don't know. Like what's the symptom there? Like you said, it's a symptom of something.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a symptom of, hey, Jesus is not first in your life. Like I've never met somebody who, hey, Jesus is my greatest obsession. Like I am following Jesus, and I gamble weekly.
But
I've
it's-
never met that person. Like when I say following Jesus, I mean like, hey, everywhere I go, I'm sharing the gospel. I'm living on mission. I'm giving 50% of my income to ministry. Like I am all in.
But it's like,
And all of those things, by the way, don't save you or make you a
Right.
Christian.
Yeah.
But they're symptoms. You talk
Yeah.
about symptoms. They're symptoms
Yeah.
of somebody who is all in.
but it's like life is a grind. Like I wake up, got 2 kids, go to work,
Yeah.
work hard, finally put the kids down, and it's like the one thing I'm looking forward to is like, man, I can't wait to like get that rush of that game tonight.
Yeah.
Of like,
We have to
Yeah.
pay attention to that one thing that we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
Like, I know today we're talking about gambling, and I'm like, for you listening, if gambling's not your thing, what is that one thing that you're looking forward to? Is it the glass of wine at night? Is it the girls' night once a month?
What's that
Is
one
it-
thing, Kathy, for you?
For me?
Yeah.
Honestly, Diet Coke. I gave it up for Lent, and I'm sad. I'm like, I want one today. I know that's silly. Or it's like, time away without responsibilities, like without kids.
Nate, would you pray for her?
I don't know if my heart's in the right place.
I'm serious. I'm like, it can be little things. And I'm not saying those things are bad, like a night out with my friends or a Diet Coke. Like, those are fine.
But when it's the I need,
When it's like, yes,
Yeah.
that's the thing I'm looking forward to. What do I really need? I need prayer. I need time in scripture. I need to talk about Jesus with friends. Like, those are things I really need and really fulfill me. But I think we just like put a Band-Aid on that like desire that we have, or we numb it down. This desire, this hole in our heart that God has placed for him, we fill it with other things that ultimately don't satisfy us, even if they're okay things to do.
Facts.
so what? But what if I'm in a hole? Like, let's just say, man, I'm down. Just hypothetically.
Yeah, we agree.
Let's
You're there.
let's say I'm down $150.
I'm like, why are you in a hole? Do you need a rope? What do you like a
Is
ladder?
this a literal hole?
What is this? What is this?
Where'd the hole come from?
On Saturdays, I work with a construction crew.
It's a different
Digging
podcast.
up them holes. Did I ever see that?
It's like I'm in a hole. I've had a couple bad weeks. I'm down $150. Like, I just got to get out of it. Like, so I'm gonna
The
put
way
more.
out
I'm gonna put
is
more on
to
the
put
games
more
this
in it.
weekend.
Yeah, that's how people. That's like the guy that lost his wife and children and all the
Oh,
things.
gosh.
I mean, that's how you do it. You just double down. I mean, listen. There's aspects of investment. I mean, people are going to disagree with this, but day trading.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
Is this different than the stock market?
no, it's the
I know
same-
so much about the
the
stock
same
market.
thing.
You should ask me all the
It's the
questions.
same
about
market.
it. Seriously?
Yeah.
But people bet
But like
on
people
that.
trade options. I worked with a guy. It's a true story. I worked with a guy in corporate America, and he was like baller, like
Dude, that's
VP. He bought a brand new Porsche with his commission, and I mean he was the guy. He was the guy everybody wanted to be, and because he was making so much money at the corporation we worked for. And he was day trading on the side, and he was making so much more money day trading, which he was already making more money than anybody else. He's making so much money day trading that he quit his job just to go home and day trade full time.
wow.
And so we're talking millions of dollars.
Wow.
Okay. And And so years go by, life change. I go into ministry. I work at the church, and he calls and he says, "Hey man, I'd love to catch up." And so I was like, "Absolutely." He goes, "How about I pick you up?" And so in my head, like you just can't not. I'm like, "Oh, okay. I wonder if he's gonna pick me up in the Porsche, you know,
Yeah.
like what's he giving me?"
Yeah, you get excited.
And so yeah, I'm just thinking like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome. I wonder what he's driving these
Yeah.
days. You know, maybe a Ferrari, maybe a Lambo." And so he pulls up in a '92 Accord.
No way.
It's all beat up. And I was like, wait, what? Like, is this a
What
joke?
happened?
Are you punking me?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? And so I get in, and I'm like, dude, what's going on? He's like, yeah, it's not what you expected, huh? I was like, that's right. I go, what happened? He goes, bro, I lost everything. This is a different guy, by the way, than the one I said who lost his wife and children and whatnot to gambling. This guy, he was like, I lost everything. He's like, I thought I beat the system. And I cannot tell you, I've so many times I have bumped into people who thought they beat the system. They figured out, hey, this is, options. I'm trading options. This is how we do it. I've unlocked the code, and then they lose everything. And if you trade options, like you can lose more than you have. That's what's
Wow.
scary. Yeah. So.
Wow. What do you think? And I know like females can get into this too, but
Are you? I should say, if you invest in on margin, you can lose more than you have. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
What about guys specifically? I feel like guys more tend to fall into this. Like,
I think it's a couple things. Talking about sports betting specifically, I think more guys are into sports than women. That's not to say there's a lot of women into sports, but just generally speaking. And then I think that there's just a competitive conqueror nature to the male side of things. Again, not to say that women don't have that. My wife is more competitive than I am, for sure. But I think there's just like a conqueror nature to men.
Yeah. So let's say you're dating someone and he's likes gambling, sports betting, or going to the casino a lot. Like, what questions do you need to be asking? What do you need to figure out if this is a problem
red
or not?
flag?
Yeah.
Man, start with like, hey, what does generosity look like for you? Like that's what I was with some guys this morning. We were talking about what does it mean to be generous?
Oh, I hate when you say that.
And like when you say like some
Not
people
the
are like
generous thing.
some people are like, well, if you give away $1 million, that's generous. It's like, well, not if you have $1 billion.
Yeah.
$1 million isn't really
That's
that
like nothing.
generous.
Yeah.
And so what is generous? Like what does it like look like to give at my expense, to give sacrificially, to give in a way that I feel it? And I think another aspect of a generation that's coming up is we don't do that. We think of tithing. We think, hey, set it and forget it. I'm just going to give 10%. We're asking questions like, does it need to be pre-tax or post-tax? I mean, there's people listening that are faithful Christians who've never given to their church, or they like give $100 and they walk out feeling like, oh man, God's so lucky to have me, and not thinking in terms of like, oh, I need to give my first fruits. I need to invest a portion of this. And so I think that's a great question. Is like, hey, what does generosity look like for you? And then if you see them frequently betting, I would be like, hey, how do you know this doesn't have a hold of you? And I mean, I'll just be honest. I'll just say to the ladies, I would not date a guy toward marriage who is regularly gambling on sports or anything for that matter.
Because one day that's going to be your money too. And if he's reckless with it, that will be yours. That's
totally.
another reason.
And I mean, I've had guys, I was talking to one recently who, before he served at the porch, he was a professional gambler.
Wow.
Like that's what he did to make money.
What if he's making money? Why would you say don't date him?
Well, there's a lot of ways to make. You can make money selling drugs. You can make money stripping. You can make money prostitution. There's lots of ways to make money that you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Right. And so you can make money working, for companies that have nefarious goals.
Yeah. Man.
I feel like y'all are just like opening my eyes to this world. I didn't know people could be doing this.
She's gonna be addicted.
Man, she's wild.
She's gonna be
Maybe
addicted
I'm
by
gonna
Friday.
get into this.
Like, you really didn't know?
Kathy didn't know that pornography.
Oh my
they actually had
gosh.
sex.
And I am so proud of that.
I'm
And
proud
honestly,
of that,
I'm proud that I
honestly.
don't know about gambling because it means
Hey,
I'm not
yeah,
in
I
it.
You are
really
a
think
saint.
gambling, like 10 years from now, it's gonna be
You're
even
serious?
bigger deal. Like it's going to be more stories of I lost everything.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stories of I lost
yeah, there's-
everything.
yeah, there's
a
a
lot
lot,
of
but-
stories.
Because honestly,
Guess how many people? I read a stat: 10 million people are addicted to gambling in America.
Well, if you watch a sports game, the commercials, it's like DraftKings.
Guys, 10 million
whatever.
people.
Yeah.
wow.
All the commercials are like sports betting.
Were you going to say something?
Well, Well, I'm like, I bet like phone and technology is that making gambling a lot easier.
Yeah, because you just
100%.
got apps on your phone, and it's like,
And you can kind of do it even if it's illegal
you don't have to
where
go. You don't even
are.
have to fly to Vegas.
So what about like fantasy football and stuff? Is that gambling?
Nate,
I
are
mean,
you
I-
feeling convicted at all in this episode? Because
Well, I
haven't
don't-
gone hard
I-
enough.
Nate doesn't have
I
a
don't
conscience,
think
dude. I learned that
Straight
earlier today.
seared conscience.
if they're weekly
Brother.
gambling, they may have a problem.
Yeah.
Nate in the fall
I'm
with
not-
his bros.
I mean, so fantasy football also is gambling, I guess.
Really?
So like, well,
Hot
I thought
take.
you were just like making
Hot
a
take.
team.
well, you are, but like before the season, you send $30 to someone
Seriously?
who's the commissioner, and they hold the $30, and then at the end of the year,
Getting
whoever gets
bank.
first wins. Yeah. So I guess you're gambling those $30. So I don't know. I
Again,
don't
it's like-
I don't feel like I don't know. I don't feel like sports gambling is wrong, like you said, if you do it once a year. But I'm also like picturing Francis Chan sweating out the Baylor TCU game, and I can't really.
Yeah, so the rules would be like, hey, you can't be addicted.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that's tough for people. They're like, well, how do I know if I'm addicted? Listen, you can't.
Can't-
That's black and white, absolute, no questions asked.
Totally.
Like you are not. You are absolutely, without a doubt, for sure, in sin if you are addicted to gambling.
and
So
the-
that's
yeah.
easy. You can't gamble money you don't have. You need to do so with like being a good steward in mind, right? And
Yes.
so think about that. In your
What could this money
basically
be?
this is like an entertainment
Yeah.
budget, if
Yeah.
you will. And you want to think through like, hey, what are my other alternatives?
Yeah.
Like, do I feel good about this? And is my, do I have a reputation of being generous and giving to others and solving problems in the world, with God's resources? Like, here's the reality. We're all God's financial advisors, meaning we are stewarding God's money. All money,
Is it?
every dollar in the world belongs to God, the creator. He is sovereign over it.
Yeah.
It's his. And he entrusts different amounts to different people to get it where he wants it to go.
Yeah.
And so you would have to think, hey, this is where God wants it to go.
Yeah.
And you got to believe that at a conviction level. This is where God wants it to go. And so you would bet it.
Yeah.
And so again, like, I've done that. I'm not trying to like be a legalist here. I have done that. I will do that again. It's not a weekly thing. It's not even a monthly thing. It would be like, I will host a poker night at our house with a $10 buy-in. And I've done it before where it's like, hey, whoever wins, you have to do something good with
That's
that money,
cool.
and think about it like that.
I think one other thing you could do to like, as you're wrestling through this, if this is how you enjoy spending your time and you want to do it in a way that could be God honoring, invite community into it. Because especially what y'all are saying, if like you can do all of this on your phone and it can become
Yeah, it
this
could be
like
hidden and no one
hidden
knows.
sin, like
for sure.
pornography that no one knows you struggle with it. Man, bring other people in and let them know, hey, this is how I want to have fun for my birthday this year. Do y'all see any problems with that? How could we like do something good with the money? Asking people, confessing it if you feel like it is becoming an idol or is becoming something that's addictive.
What do you think is okay to hide? Sorry, I yawned. What is okay to hide?
My social security number.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like your
I-
body parts.
I didn't say anything.
Oh,
You were like, I'm
looking at me.
thinking.
I was like,
I was
sorry.
just waiting on your answer.
Well, yeah.
And your body parts is what you came up with.
I feel like that's the right answer.
Body parts for 200, Pat.
I feel like that would be the top answer.
I'm just like, but if you are having to hide an activity, like you
Right.
don't want someone to know that you do it,
That's what I'm saying. There's
it's
not
probably
many things
wrong.
you should hide.
it's probably wrong. I mean, like almost for certain. And I say almost for certain because somebody's gonna be like, well, what about intimacy with my spouse? Like, sure,
Body parts.
that's between you and them. But yeah, if there's an activity that you don't want someone to find out, if you're ever looking over your shoulder,
Yeah.
man, that's a good test of, hey,
Should
you're
I be doing
probably messing with Satan at this point.
Yeah. You said in regards to like generosity and getting God's money where it should go, you said something last week that was impactful for the first time. Worked with you for 5 years, and it was like, wow, that hit me. We were at the I don't know what to call it, but the Isaiah 117 house for
Yeah.
It's a transition home for kids.
Yeah,
in foster care.
for the
foster care.
kids.
For
Yeah.
the-
Nate,
yeah,
Nate
whatever.
wasn't interested.
afterwards. JP was like, "Hey, did that impact you at all?"
Because he said in his sermon everyone was
Like,
crying.
everybody
and
was-
I
Which is
like,
true.
was Nate
Everybody was
crying?
crying, and Nate was like on his phone making sports bets.
I was like, guys, this
Everyone's crying.
European soccer game. No, you
you
said
cry?
you were. They talked, and then you're like, man, I'm just so convinced that this is what he would be doing.
Yeah.
It's, speaking
Jesus,
of Jesus,
yeah.
it's like
Hmm.
this is totally what he would be doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, are we? Can you say that you are involved in what he would be doing?
Yeah.
Is your money involved in what he would be doing? And you're there.
So convicting.
Like, I wish everyone could have been there for so many reasons. But I'm like, I want to give, it, and I know I'm on staff, so it's just whatever. I get my paycheck here, but I'm there, and I'm like, I want to just give more to Harris Creek because this is solving a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I wish everyone could see that.
Yeah.
And instead, my money's in a bank account somewhere. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. If you're looking for places to give, we are out of space here at Harris Creek. And so feel free to.
yeah.
Feel
we
free
should,
to-
Or
we
wherever
should
the
start like a
Lord is
bookie here.
leading
Like, if
you.
we have attendance
Oh.
over under
Dude,
If
we could
Kathy
take.
says this
1,000
on the
people, yeah.
podcast,
We
can
could
people
take-
bet on the podcast?
Well, think about this. Well, you could take all the
How many
tithes of
snorts per
people,
episode?
and you could put them
Put it
on
on black.
put it on red or
Or, yeah.
black or whatever, or even
And double it.
Yeah, and then double it, and then
We've been making more money for God
yeah.
Could I do that one week?
illegally, but it's
No.
okay.
We're not gonna do that.
We could turn it.
That is a
we
joke.
Would that be great views? Like, imagine if we had an episode where it's like we unzip the offering for that week, and then we get in your car, drive to Windstar.
Well, here's what we'll do.
The views would be amazing.
We're going to put everything that you give to Harris Creek on red. So
That's
we'll
fine.
take that $5 chip.
5, you wouldn't have anything.
Oh my
Oh
God.
man. Oh man.
Honestly, this
Off
is,
the rails.
This has been an enlightening episode. I feel like I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
If you can share with me those apps where I can
Yeah.
play some.
I like how
I
we
feel
spent.
like-
I
I
like how we
really feel
spent
like you would
7
totally-
minutes explaining the
Because
spread.
there's other people like me. Honestly,
I just
it did
feel
not
like you
make sense
totally
for a
would be
while.
addicted.
Totally.
Well, okay, here's the truth. Can I tell y'all something? I have an addictive personality.
Yeah.
I know that about myself. So like there are things I just don't let myself do.
Right.
Like there are people who can watch TV and it's fine. Matt even he like loves to watch.
Who
a show
can watch
at night.
TV?
Yeah. There's certain shows that they leave. Can you just give me a second to explain? I hate this podcast.
You got so passionate.
Because I'm
And you
trying
like
to make a
leaned
point,
forward and you pulled
and
up
you
the
guys
finger
are
and you're
not
like,
listening
I
to me."
have an addictive personality. There are people out there who watch TV. Y'all don't understand. I can't watch TV.
What I'm saying is, I just don't like you guys sometimes. I know that about myself. If there's a show that has cliffhangers, like I will be addicted. I will be thinking about it. I get invested in movies and books. So I just sometimes don't let myself.
Hey, you
Watch
watched The
some-
Chosen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like that's an okay thing. But like I know I have an addictive personality. So there are things I don't even get close to.
Hot take. Kathy thinks The Chosen's okay to watch.
For those of you who watch TV.
I'm just kidding. That is. Some people think that's a hot
So
take.
if that's your
I'm
personality,
pro-Chosen, by the way.
Know that, yeah.
Wow, that
same.
was almost like, were you really? Well, I thought you were gonna say something else.
Chosen.
I was like, whoa.
Chosen.
Okay.
Yes.
So you need to know yourself and be self-aware, and don't even give the devil a foothold.
So
Facts.
if you're gambling right now, like
Get help.
what
Recovery ministry. Like,
if the thought of, hey, can you give this up for a month? And you're like, no, I can't.
oh
Does that
man,
mean
you,
you're
you need
addicted?
you really
You
need to get
addicted.
help.
Yeah.
Like
a
this,
month is
it's really very, very addictive.
Yeah.
Like very addictive. Like pornography, like cocaine, like heroin. Very addictive. So
So it's okay
If
to
you're-
not even get into
if
it.
you're addicted, you need to get help. Yeah.
And if you
and
don't know if you're
yeah.
addicted,
Would you
talk
actually
to
tell
people about
someone?
it.
Huh?
Would you tell someone that, or would you just?
No, 100%. You call the strongest believer you know, and tell them, "Hey, I listened to this podcast today. I'm addicted to gambling. I need help. Will you go to recovery ministry with me? Get community around you. Confess. James 5:16. Ask for prayer."
That just would be really embarrassing.
Yeah, well, people do it all the time. I mean, it may be embarrassing, but what's really embarrassing is staying addicted.
Yeah.
And so just, man, again, we're here. Life is short. We're not here very long. We're here to know Jesus and make him known. And so walk with Christ, and Jesus is never going to lead you into addiction, ever. As you follow him, he's never going to lead you into addiction. Guys, thanks for having this conversation. Kathy, thanks for enduring it.
Yeah. Thanks for teaching me so much.
Kathy's addicted to holiness.
So there's some people listening right now. What if they're addicted to BSO? Is that okay?
Oh my gosh, that's true. People are like, "Hey, I found it 2 months ago, and I've listened
They
to
binged
it."
it, yeah.
Yeah, listen.
binge listen.
Y'all kept leaving me on a cliffhanger.
I think if you're gonna be addicted to anything, shut up. Not the cliffhanger.
Hey, if you're gonna sin, sin in
listen to
this
If
way.
you're gonna be addicted to anything, it shouldn't be
TV.
It might as
It
well
shouldn't
be
be
me. No, we're pointing people to Jesus.
Well,
I feel
what
good
I was
about
gonna
that.
say is, if you want something to consume your thoughts and your mind, it
Yep.
might as well be Jesus. So
Facts.
anything that can point you in that direction.
And it's like some
is
people are
good.
truck drivers, or they work in like
Yes.
a factory, like stocking shelves,
Yeah.
and it's like I just listen to
I'm just
anything.
going
So-
back to what I said earlier. We all have this God-sized hole in our heart that needs to be filled, and the more we can fill it with Jesus and things that are of Him or remind us of Him, the better we will be.
Yeah. Hey, and so next week we're going to talk about those of you who watch TV. All right, we love you
done.
guys. Thanks for
Whatever.
tuning in.
Ugh. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. To find out more, visit becomingsomething.com.